half hour, 40 minutes?
That's fine. Take a shot.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and welcome back to MLB. We've been off for 5 days, and I'll tell you what, Mrs. Sheets has been very happy about that. But we're back for a live stream where we're going to go over this very, very full 11-game slate. I did catch up with Bobby. He's living a very difficult life. He was in Vegas for 3 weeks playing the World Series, and now I think he's in Hawaii or something like that. So not that it's terrible here, but nonetheless, Bobby is doing just fine. Okay, let's share my screen. And this is obviously the SaberSim layout, not on TrueDFS, but again, kind of the external look. And again, I really should use the TrueDFS look, but we're not doing that today. Any questions on this, let me know. What's going on, Scott? And you know what? Since we haven't been around a while, let's take a quick gaze at the actual players, okay, before we just go straight into building. Before I do that, let me take a quick look at the weather. See if there are any weather issues. Let's just see. Yes, so was this even part of the slate? Padres, Washington. Everything else looks good. Any wind, any nothing. It all looks pretty good to me. So we're going to have another slate where Spencer Strider is the highest owned, and he has not been particularly exciting to me. Nonetheless, you look at the projections here, he doesn't stand out the way he does some other times. You have all these other guys that, at least the way I rate these things, are looking actually pretty close. So you have Strider, Glasnow, Castillo, Minaya, and Bradley. I mean, depending on where you want to cut these off, at the very least, you could say Strider, Glasnow, Castillo, Minaya look very similar. And when you're going to get an ownership discount on Minaya, I think it's something to, be on the lookout for. I mean, if you get a bunch of him, I think it's going to make sense. And if you hand build, this is what I would do if I were hand building. I would play Minaya for sure. And then, I mean, I really might play some of these other guys down here instead of fighting with these guys up on the top, just because of the ownership break. At the very least, I would certainly start with Minaya. Let's take a look at the stacks and see what that looks like. Boy, look at this. It's the Minnesota Twins show. Is that the story? Now, I'm going to be kind of embarrassed to say that I don't know why. I don't know who they're playing. I presume it's in Colorado. Yeah, okay, so they're in Colorado. And they're going to be very highly owned, and I'm going to be very curious to see where the Sims kind of come out on that, right? Is it going to be one where they say, we don't care about ownership, let's just jam them anyway? Yes, do not worry about Mrs. Sheets. She's been well taken care of. Okay, so we have the Twinkies at the top, but again, they're highly owned. And then when you're rating them by modified score here, you're seeing Cleveland, and they're going to get some ownership. Colorado, they're going to get some ownership. So if I were hand building, the team I'd probably avoid is the Dodgers, I guess. I mean, they are pretty highly owned and rate kind of far down here. So for me, maybe St. Louis. So again, if they have a good enough score, they rate to be somewhat low owned. So if I were just hand building, didn't know anything about the Sims, didn't know anything, I would play Minaya X and a 5-man Cardinals, and then fill in the rest. So if people are here for the first time and they don't want to be bothered with any of this fancy pants simulations and lineup construction nonsense, they just want, who would I play based on my sheets? This is what it would be. It would be probably St. Louis. Freaking the streets, freaking the sheets. Okay, isn't that wasn't there a Korn song that was something like that? No, what was the Korn song? Freak on the Leash. Right. Okay. Freak on the Leash was the Korn song. Okay. So that's all well and good, but we do have to use the sims. We do have to use the advanced techniques. It's not just so easy as to you look at the projections, just fire. But I figured we'd start with that again to kind of ease our way back into the second half of the season. We'll build in a minute, but for now, let's go to FanDuel next. Let's take a look and see how that might be different. Let's see, FanDuel. Okay, so the way FanDuel looks, just in the projections, looks like Castillo is the best here, even though he's not the highest owned. So again, if I were starting a FanDuel hand build, let's just go with Castillo, I guess. And then with the stacks, let's just take a look and see what it would look like. Once again, the Twins by a lot. And then, you know what? These other guys, like Detroit, shows up as kind of lowish owns. So for me, I would play, forget the Twins and their stupid ownership. I'd play Tampa, like any of these five, like Tampa, Dodgers, Toronto, San Fran, Detroit. Pair them up with Castillo and just kind of roll. But, you know, we're not playing the way we played 4 years ago. We have to use the sims. I know it's annoying, but it's the way you have to play nowadays. So let's pull up SaberSim and see what we're supposed to do. Let's go right through the process from beginning to end. So, beginning. Let's first, let's pretend we didn't do this already, and let's upload the entries that we have in our contest. So you download those from DraftKings, and you upload those here. And again, this makes doing your sims just so much easier because it saves, you know, everything that you're playing. And it obviously also does wonders for portfolio management when the portfolio diversification tools knows what you're playing. Okay, so here are the decisions that you have to make. Now, again, I did a tutorial for another site where I talked about SaberSim and this idea that, I mean, it's sort of a misnomer or a mischaracterization to say that, you know, you just get SaberSim and you just like press the button and it happens automatically. There's plenty of really important decisions you have to make along the way that's going to determine one set of lineups from another. And in baseball, the differences are going to be so extreme. So, you know, the first question that you want to ask is simply what projections to use. You know, you could use the SaberSim. Now, again, depending on what package you have, you could use the SaberSim projections. You could use Goldie's projections. You could use my projections. You could use an average of the two. So that is a very important thing you have to do. And for me, well, I'm going to use mine. So there. All right. Now, the next thing you have to decide is if you are going to use a custom field or a custom set of projections, do you also want to create a custom field from your ownership projections? And in baseball, the answer is going to be no, because all it's going to do is literally rank everything by ownership, and it's not going to consider, you know, what stacks are used together and who used with what. Baseball is a very difficult sport to build your own fields, so especially if it's just from ownership. So we're going to uncheck that, but that's a decision. To that point, now that we've decided what projections we're going to use, before we even build and sim, we have to decide which contest fields we're going to use. So when we run our sim, so are we going to use the fields that baseball, whatchamacallit, we're going to use the sims that SaberSim puts here for us, or are we going to use our own? Now, again, or are we going to switch these at all? I am going to keep this as is for baseball. So, but that's an important decision. So we're using the SaberSim contest fields. We're using our projections, okay? And the next question, when we build, you know, we're going to build like a billion lineups to start off with. And the question is, are we going to set any rules or any limitations before we build those lineups? Do we want to have a minimum of somebody or a maximum of somebody? Do we want to X anybody out? do we want to limit the lineups that are returned to certain types of stacks? Now, you guys know already from my process, I don't like to set any min maxes as far as the players go. So that's good. One less decision, so that makes sense. So the next question is, are we going to artificially limit our stack exposure? And I am going to say yes for today. We're going to do either 5 threes. So we're going to uncheck this. We're going to go only, then we're going to replace with only 5 threes, 5 twos, 5s, and we're going to throw in 4 4s also. And the reason for that is, listen, it is a big slate, and it's just very, very unlikely. Well, not unlikely that it could be optimal, but it's unlikely we're going to be able to pick the right 4-3, the right whatever, and so we're going to just eliminate those. So we're going to build like a billion lineups. Now here's going to be 20,000, okay, whatever, but 5,000, 10,000, whatever, and we are just going to now fire. But we've already made some pretty important decisions, right? Of what projections to use, what ownerships to use, what contest sims we're going to use, what what limitations to the players we're going to use, if any, what limitations on stack sizes or whatever, and those decisions are going to now result in a very different build for each person, depending on the decisions they made. Now, I see this little guy up here on the left, which means I have players that are out. So it's possible that my projections have somebody that's, so you could tell Marte is out. So they've incorporated these Arizona guys, I guess, and I haven't updated the Arizona projections yet. No problem. There's plenty of time to do that, especially before the 9:40 game. But I will try, probably unsuccessfully, to get another run done before 7:07 lock. So let's see what we got. We're building 20,000 lineups. You think Minaya is going to come in over projected and look good in the post-lock sims? Yeah, maybe. Oh, you think that the I see what you're saying. Well, over projected ownership in Cincinnati stacks will grade well in the post-lock sims. Yeah, you could be right. So we're playing all these things, and we're going to set this on portfolio diversification mode. And now we're going to hit this magic button, right? So we're going to run the contest sims. So now it's going to build all these lineups. Well, it's already built, but now we're going to see how they do in these specific contests, given the fields that we told it to compare ourselves to. So, again, while now we're in kind of automation mode, it was all the decisions we made that got us to this point that made it happen. Now, another thing to look at on today's slate is the breakdown of the start time. So, whole bunch of 7s. It's not the greatest late swap slate. I mean, yeah, I mean you'll be able to do some before these last couple of games, but not much. There's not there. You don't have those very natural windows like 5 games at 7 o'clock, then a little break, then 5 games at 8:30 or something like that. There's a little bit more of a kind of a smooth stagger here, so you're not going to be able. I mean, you could between 7:50 and 8:05 just run a late swap, and likewise somewhere between like 8:30 and 8:40 run a late swap. But now you're really putting a lot of pressure on yourselves to be very quick. All right, so now it's diversifying these lineups, hopefully in a smart way. And then we're just gonna just plow them in here. I'm afraid to look and see what I have. So you know what I mean? And I just don't think I'm going to. And what's the point? You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to change any of the rules. So if that's the case, what do I care? Hey, listen, I'm all for sweating as much as the next guy. What I will say is, okay, I'll look at my stack exposure. How about that? 5 twos, 5 threes, 5s, 4 4s. And it's important to know what's going to go on here, by the way. When I save these to all these contests, it's prioritizing the biggest buy-ins first. So if there's a lineup that would appear in all of them, then the biggest lineup gets it, the biggest buy-in gets it, and that makes some sense. So let's save here to all. And what I like about this is that you didn't get any reds, so I don't have anybody that's out. And then we'll download these. And then we'll upload these. What we're not going to do is check our golf lineups because it was a train wreck, to say the least. Had a chance at the end if Ben Griffin snuck into the cut somehow, that would have salvaged a couple of decent buy-ins, but no dice. All right, let's take a look at FanDuel. And I'll tell you what, for FanDuel, just to be a nice guy, I will actually we will see who we have. I guess I'm not going to change it, but just to kind of see the difference. All right, so let's do the same thing. Let's well, you want to do something different? Well, let's just see what we got here. Let's do another build. I mean, you know what I could do? I mean, let's you want to mess with the system a little bit? Yeah, let's use our own custom projections for these. I mean, our own ownership projections. And see if that makes a difference. I mean, not if it makes a difference. Again, it's just what's doing is diversifying your process, I guess. Now, when you do this, you really want to make sure that what we're going to be doing is using this as our contest field to compare ourselves to. So what we really want to make sure that we do is specify that I want nothing but 4 4s and 4 3s, because apparently if you don't do it that way, if you use your own custom fields, then they don't give you too many stacks, or maybe your own custom fields don't give you enough stacks to compare yourselves to. I guess that's kind of what it is. Well, we'll take a look. I'll show you what we're going to do is look at the actual contest fields and see what we're getting ourselves into. Okay, I'll show you how that works. Yeah, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at the two contest fields we have a choice between. We're going to look at the field that we created for ourselves, or the field that was created for us by SaberSim, and we'll see which ones makes the most sense. And before we do that, we have to say what that means. Like what type of distribution makes sense. You want to just have a good amount of 4 4s and 4 3s if you're going to really represent what the field is going to do, but not all of them. So let's take a look. So this is the field lineups. So in the fields, we'll take a look. It's still loading here, actually. Just because I'm doing 20,000 lineups here. Yeah, it's kind of not much like crashing my computer, but it's slowing me up a little bit. Okay, 1 second. So let's see. Stack exposure. So yeah, mostly 4 4s, 4 3s, but a lot of these 2 0s. Wow. So because of that, I don't think I want to use this. Let me just see something. Let's take a look at if we use their contest field, what that looks like. Like what kind of stack distribution is that? Well, let's take a look. We're looking at the squeeze, right? So let's, not that. Hold on, where do I do that? Flagship MME. So let's see what the SaberSim field looks like. Oh, it's still processing. Sorry. You don't want to know what this is. It's a new project I'm working on here. Okay, so this is still taking a little bit of a while. No, this is okay. So stack exposure. See, it's still a problem. So we have to figure out which one to use here. So let's, I mean, again, just to be different. By the way, where'd you go? I don't even know where my chat with you guys are. It's somewhere. It is somewhere. I just don't know where it is. Where are you? Where is Restream? How do I find a tab? Let's see. Is it here? No. Sorry about this, guys. Somebody wants to help me with this, by the way. Like, how do you find a tab like that I'm looking for? I'm looking for the tab with you guys, and I don't know where you are. And the funny thing is until I can see the tab, I can't even read if you guys are if you guys are helping me out here or not. Would it be here? Would it be here? I don't know what to say. I got to find you. It's like pretty ridiculous, right? Well, I guess what I'll do, let me see if I can start a new browser. Maybe that'll do it. Can I join the valid room? Because I already have one open, right? Now I got two of these, right? All right, let's try this. And that's still an echo. One sec. Sorry about that. Okay, so what were we doing? Sorry. With FanDuel, we uploaded this and we're going to use the field lineups that we created. So we're going to use for contests, for the squeeze, we are going to use, in fact, Sheets's, and the rest we're going to use regular. And let's see, do we put our ownership projections in? I think we put everything in. We just want to stack exposure. We're going to make sure we have either 4 4s, 4 3s, or 4 2 2s. And then we are going to build. This is for FanDuel. Okay, so let's again hit run contest sims. And this one we'll see what we end up having here because I am kind of curious. Let's see. So let's see what we end up getting here. So it's diverse. So let's see what we have here. Team stacks, mostly Minnesota, actually. So it's kind of chalky. As far as pitching goes, mostly Castillo, Strider. So that's just got to be, it's a little bit chalky using the portfolio diversification tool. That seems to make some sense. So let's just go ahead and put this in here. And then we are going to do some late swapping, but aside from that, we're pretty much done. I did a lineup construction video for UFC. Not too thrilled with the way I did it, though, so I might redo it. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. If there are no other questions, I think I'm going to get out of here. And hope that helped. Good luck, everybody.